didn't know what he was growling at, so I go to open the door and walk downstairs, and then I see myself walking downstairs calling my name. It looked up at me and started running up the stairs. So I ran back into my room and my dog stayed out of my room, and after he stopped barking, I went out of my room and went downstairs. I saw the basement door was open and the lights were on. Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. Hello PT. You have ignored me all morning, but now that I'm talking, you are here, I see. She's here to bless us with good energy before we read these stories. Today I have some of your own scary stories to read today, so let's get into it. Also, if you have any stories that you would like for me to share, please send them to the email. I'll have it in the description below and I will happily read it. Alright, story number 1 is titled Advice from Someone Smarter Than Me Needed. So let's see what's going on. My family, me, my mom and sister moved into my apartment 3 years ago. It's worth mentioning that my entire family has always had a weird connection with spirits and that a woman was unalived by her son in the building a while before we moved in. The night we first moved in, we didn't have any air conditioning yet and it was too hot for my mom, so she had my 20-year-old brother and his husband stay in the living room while she slept at my aunt's. I also had a friend who lived in the apartment complex spend the night. It was somewhere around 3 in the morning and me and my friend were on the bottom of our bunk beds kicking the top bunk that my sister was in. She yelled at us to stop and we eventually got bored and did. 10 minutes later, she tells us to stop again and we say it wasn't us. She doesn't believe us, so we stand up to prove it, and I kid you not, we watch that mattress that my sister is sitting on slowly rise and thunk down. My sister screams. We jump down and we run into the living room and tell my brother and brother-in-law that we have to go. They don't question it and we leave immediately. When we go back to my aunt's house, they told me the reason they were so quick to leave is because my brother-in-law had been nauseous and struggling to breathe the entire time we were there. On top of that, the reason my sister screamed is because she felt something touch her back. She lifts up her shirt, shows me a huge red handprint on her shoulder. People still to this day feel sick and struggle to breathe in this apartment. I also think this is probably unrelated, but I thought I would mention it anyways. About a week ago, me and my friend decided to try a pendulum board in my apartment because despite everything, I can still be a bit of a skeptic. I was curious what would happen. Long story short, we talked to a spirit that said his name was AJ. He said he's 16 and he's been connected to me from childhood. He said he isn't a malicious spirit and was being playful the whole time we spoke to him. I can honestly say whatever we were talking to, I got no bad energy from. All 3 of my friends say that they could feel an energy standing in the corner behind us, but I felt nothing. I realized if AJ had been with me my whole life, I would be pretty used to his energy. What concerns me about him is that he said he's in love with me. I've had a boyfriend for about a year and he comes over almost every day. AJ has never once tried to harm him, but while we were communicating with him, he said he doesn't like my boyfriend. I should clarify, me and my boyfriend have a very healthy and loving relationship. I don't think AJ dislikes him because he's looking out for me. AJ said we should come back to talk to him sometime because he's pretty much a part of the friend group now. Apparently he comes to school with me because we talked to him again with the pendulum at school. Is this something I shouldn't be messing with? Advice would be appreciated. I don't know what I'm doing. I am fully on the side of not every spirit is bad. I know not everyone shares that view, but I have had wonderful interactions with spirits. Now, what is concerning me with AJ is the fact that he said he's in love with you and doesn't like your boyfriend. That kind of raises a red flag to me. I'm glad he hasn't tried to do anything to your boyfriend, but that kind of sketches me out that he said that anyways. And you're right, if everyone felt him in the corner and you didn't, that's probably just because you wouldn't recognize his energy. Make sure you cleanse your space, cleanse yourself, cleanse that pendulum before you use it again. Put up some sort of protection, whatever pertains to you, your faith, your beliefs, whatever. Put up something so that you're safe. And I would proceed with caution because AJ is not giving me the best vibes. So if it were me, I probably wouldn't keep him around, but that's totally up to you. I need advice because I've been living in my new house for almost 3 months and I've been seeing things out of the corner of my eyes. My name has been called many times and many things have opened my closet doors when I'm asleep. A few days ago, one of the scariest things happened. I was sitting in my room and everyone else was out of the house. I have a dog who stays under my bed most days and he only comes out if something is off. Well, it was around 12 a.m. I was on my phone. Downstairs, I hear floorboards creaking, and initially I thought it was just our old house. But then my dog came out from under the bed, and when he came out, he looked at me and went to the door and started growling. I didn't know what he was growling at, so I go to open the door and walk downstairs, and then I see myself walking downstairs calling my name. It looked up at me and started running up the stairs. So I ran back into my room and my dog stayed out of my room, and after he stopped barking, I went out of my room and went downstairs. I saw the basement door was open and the lights were on. Oh no! Cleanse your space. Oh my God, that's so scary. So for the time being, if you hear or see anything off, try to not like make it known that you've noticed it. Just kind of ignore it and cleanse your space. Definitely cleanse your space. But my best piece of advice is to just ignore everything. I'm really curious to know if anything else has happened leading up to this, or if it was just immediately like a physical being. Because I will say, whenever I saw the thing that mimics my husband, I saw it first. I didn't like have any other interactions. I just immediately saw the physical feature, and it was so strong already. So these things just lurk around you for a while and then just materialize, and I hate it. It all first started like a year before I moved into another house. I was heading to school when I saw a pitch-black humanoid male figure moving behind a car. It was like it was playing tag around it. I ran home, told my mom what happened, and she told me that it was probably a cat, but I know what I saw. A couple months later, me and my family moved to a new house in our small town that's near my school. Everything seemed normal at first, but as a child, I've always had a weird feeling about the basement. Throughout the years we lived in the house, me and my sister and father have noticed that the lights in the basement keep turning on. Me and my family joked about it being Casper the Ghost, but I think it was more than a ghost. Another experience only me and my sister experienced was a loud bang in the basement which froze us. We both were home alone just minding our business playing card games, and just out of nowhere we heard a loud bang. Almost like something had crashed into the floor or the wall. None of us had the guts to go check it, and I'm glad we didn't. These experiences kept happening and we just ignored it as best as we could. One day I was heading to school. It was winter and I had to walk under a train bridge or whatever it's called and walk up a big hill to reach the school. I had a strange feeling that I had to look behind me, and there was a shadow under the bridge. Not any kind of shadow, but my own. I was so scared and ran up the hill and never saw it again. I don't think I had any more paranormal experiences, and that was probably the last time I saw it. In 2022, I had to move to another country. I felt like something was watching me almost all of the time. I share a bedroom with my brother and step-sibling. My sister moved out, so she didn't live here anymore. One night, I suddenly woke up on a Thursday night to my own brother screaming at me by my bed on his knees, and I fought back helplessly and screamed and screamed. My father bursted in and was wondering what was going on, and I told my father that my brother started screaming at me, and he looked at me weirdly and sent me to bed. The next day I went to school, and after school I went to my dad to ask him about what happened, and he said that he'd woke up to me screaming. Apparently I was the only one screaming, and my brother was sound asleep in his bed the whole time. I thought it would never happen again, and boy was I wrong. I woke up to my brother screaming at me from his bed, and of course I screamed. My father told me I screamed at him. The last time it happened to me was 2023. I woke up to my brother screaming at me again from his bed, and I don't know what happened, but I felt controlled. I ran to him, hovering over him, screaming like I was the culprit. I don't know what happened at all. The weird thing was that he showed fear and raised his fist at me like he was going to throw a punch at me, but I stopped him and he was shocked. Why would he be shocked, I wondered, and of course I woke my family up again with blood-curdling screams. My father said I screamed at him, but I don't get it. My own brother said that I screamed at him and told him that I was going to unalive him repeatedly. I don't remember that part. In the summer of 23, I was at vacation at my sister's, and I think he was at her home, and he woke up screaming, hitting something. That's what my father said. I asked him about it, and he told me that he thinks something pitch black attacked him. Maybe it was the same thing I saw. The next time he screamed was at my mother's house. I slept on the couch and woke up to my brother screaming in the other room. I heard my mom saying, "What's going on?" and he kicked her and pointed at the door. That was possibly the last time it happened, but now I keep hearing tapping on the wall. I don't know if it's my siblings or this entity. That sounds like something malicious has gotten a hold of your family. Like, that, I don't know, the fact that it's affecting all of you and you saw it under the bridge, I don't know, I feel like it's attached to your family. I feel like my advice for these stories is always the same, but cleanse yourself, especially. Cleanse yourself and your room, definitely. The fact that it's happening when you're asleep is like icky because it's like waiting for you to be vulnerable. I don't like that. And this one is titled Somewhat Random Encounters with Paranormal. I go by Morgan. Hey twin. And these stories happened in Poland, not far from the Czech Republic border. As far as my memory goes, I've had this, you could say, intuition. I avoid all places where dark aura emanates from, older buildings I've had bad feelings about and such. The scary stuff started happening when I was 11. My first face-to-face encounter with a creature happened on a particularly sunny day. I went biking to a field in the nearby hills to lounge around and enjoy the day. When I got there, I found some shadow and listened to music. I noticed a woman standing amongst the crop. She wore a straw hat with strands of weed in it and a white dress. I never saw her face. When I stood up to ask her if she's lost, my eyesight got blurry and I stumbled into the surrounding tall grass. I woke up to sundown with about 10 missed calls from my mom. I'm pretty sure I met Lady Midday that day. Who's Lady Midday? I will be researching after this. Later the same year, I went on a school trip to a national park. It was mostly uneventful until I split from my group for a moment. I did not see anything, but I heard a voice trying to lure me into the woodland. Luckily, someone called for me and I rejoined the group. Shortly before my 12th birthday, my baby brother was in the hospital for a major heart surgery. A week after the surgery, I had a frightening dream, but before I need to provide some additional information. At the time, my family lived in a building downhill from a tower. Said tower was a part of a castle that burned down centuries ago and also a tower with a dungeon. That being said, on this hill there's a tiered garden. That's what I saw in my dream. The garden flushed with greenery and flowers among which walked something. To this day, I'm not able to identify what it was. I wasn't afraid until it looked at me. Its eyes were voids and its mouth was under its skin. That's when I woke up, crying, with sudden knowledge of my brother's passing. A minute later, my mom called from the hospital to tell me about it. From that day on, I've had insomnia. And for the last short and lighthearted story, a year ago, just after my 21st birthday, I saw a butterfly, but it was made of golden light. A spiritualist that I asked about it said that it could either be a symbol from a goddess or a spirit that protects me. That definitely sounds like, yeah, something watching over you, for sure. For context, I live in Yorkshire, England, up north on the east side. However, my family is from Latvia and Lithuania, which are countries in Eastern Europe along the border of Russia. For that reason, we're all Eastern European Orthodox, and the culture there definitely revolves around paranormal myths and legends. My mom's side of the family are even said to be a line of witches, just to add a depth to that claim. Basically, we're all very spiritual, and the Orthodox community there will promote baptizing babies before 40 days, or else they are vulnerable to demonic spirits. This story is told to me by my mother as I was a baby when it happened. I'm told that I was a good baby, and normally would not have any issues with crying during the night. This night, however, when I was around a month old, my mom tucked me into my crib and went downstairs to have some well-needed rest. This was shortly interrupted by a desperate, blood-curdling cry from the room my crib was in. She rushed upstairs as fast as she possibly could, and it was immediately obvious what I was crying over. My wrist had a massive red handprint, as if someone was trying to grab me. Later on in that week, for reasons I don't know, she checked under my mattress. There she discovered a massive, long, thick needle where my head would have faced. None of my family would sew or have any business using such a thing. All of this stopped when I got baptized shortly later. What do you guys think? You think you're up for one more story? I usually do 5, but I kind of want to read this next one. It's titled Crawlers at Work, so I have to read it. I'm 22 years old and have been dealing with paranormal all of my life, but mostly have been spiritual-based beings with the exception of dogmen. But recently, I've been having encounters with a cryptid. If you'd like to hear any of my other stories, please let me know. Obviously, I want to hear the other stories. Let's just put that out there immediately. Background info. I work as an unarmed night security guard at a naval repair shipyard. Due to being unarmed, I mostly monitor my designated parking lot and the neighboring parking lot if I'm assigned to. My job also requires me to help the Navy sailors at our site as well. I've had 2 other encounters at work, but they seem to be some sort of nature spirits, but recently a type of cryptid called a crawler has shown up. Crawlers can be described as pale black or brown humanoid-shaped creatures with no facial features except an oversized mouth. They often crawl around like a spider on oversized limbs. My first encounter was on a cold February night while I was sitting in my guard shack. I had the window cracked and heard a tapping noise which made me look up. When I looked up, I saw something go around the front of the porta potty that was a few feet in front of the guard shack. My first instinct was that it may have been a sailor who was trying to get my attention, however something told me to stay still. I then looked at the top of the porta potty and could see the top of this thing's head over it, meaning it was taller than it. It was ducked down, and I remember just being frozen until some actual sailors pulled into the lot that stopped at the shack to say hello. I then asked them if they had seen anything. They said they thought that they didn't see anything except some bushes shaking around. This creature would eventually reveal itself after I saw a small brown and muscular crawler creature in the neighboring parking lot one night. The creature I saw in my designated parking lot would eventually reveal itself shortly after. When it revealed itself, it was on the far end of the parking lot standing under a light. It was still, tall, lanky, and all black in color to the point that I thought it was my eyes messing with me. When it noticed that I saw it, it got in a position like it was going to dash towards me. But it didn't, and instead held that position for a long time. I believe that the black crawler is older and likes messing with people, especially since I've had a few sailors claim that something is watching them, and it taps on their car windows. The brown crawlers seem to be young and a lot more elusive. I've noticed as the weather gets warmer, the more these things seem to roam around. The fact that there's multiple, there's like a whole freaking family of them, no, That's all right. That was all for today. Sorry it was a bit of a long one. I felt like chatting. But anyways, like I said at the beginning, send those stories into the email. I've been reading, up until this video, older stories that I've gotten like for TikTok that I just never got around to reading. But these all came recently from people that watch YouTube. So thank you guys for sending those in, and I'm so excited to read others. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Be safe, and I will see you guys in a few days. All right.